So move forwards a day, and what I've decided to do is actually to service mine first, and then with the information I learned from doing mine, we'll look at the customer's one, which we've got as far as hopefully sorting that problem out with the dry joint. So, is mine powered up? It is. God, is that display all I get? So, picture in picture is on. Press transmit. It's doing 3 watts. That's probably about what they do. So can we see any of these coil numbers is the next question. I've kind of done one of my rubbish diagrams. See, as ever, the trouble is once the components are in, it's difficult to see well, that's RV1. I would think that's going to be the VCO because it's in that. Sorry, I would think that's going to be deviation because it's in the VCO can. No, I can't see anything else, and that's frustrating, but I can't. So I'm thinking possibly we've got those 3 for the transmit. Then it'll go under this shield plate. There's no point in going under there. I mean, the radio's already doing 3 watts. So, with that, let's press transmit. So I'm right at the end of the scale. Just see whether that affects it. Yes, it does. So it's still 3 watts. I mean, that looks to be in the receiver, but just in case that's a power thing, I will just adjust it. I think that's going to be squelch, and again, that's going to be. I think that's going to be deviation. While of course we'll unplug the front, haven't we? So that's all well and good. Where's my front? So I'll just plug the mic in. Wallow, 1 2, testing 1 2, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Wallow, there we go. Wallow. So it's doing 1.5, which is pretty rubbish. Get our little oscillator, switch it on, put that over there. Well, that looks right, but we'll just prove this is deviation. It is. Wallow. That's deviation. So that's one thing we've actually set. So it's doing 3 watts, and we've got high-low power. So let's see what it's doing on low power. So that's high, that's low, and it's doing. Actually, it's doing 900 milliwatts. Well, it's supposed to do 400 milliwatts, but you know, I'm sure this is going to be squelch, but yeah. I've checked under that board on the other set, and there is no further preset. So that's going to be what you get. I don't know why did they think of 900 milliwatts when 2781 you'd have it as 400 milliwatts, so it's 10 decibel of attenuation, but never mind. Good battery saver anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, that's transmit. It's doing 3 watts. I don't know what it's sold as, but that's 3 watts is about what you'd expect. And I'm at 12.4 volts. And without a... I haven't even got an instruction book, so I am presuming that these are a 12 volt radio and not 13.8. Seeing as this is my set, I'm going to press transmit and turn the power up on the power supply to 13.8 and see what happens with the power. So we're at 3 watts. At 13.8 it is still 3 watts. So it's just go back to where we were. Here we are. Right, so we'll look at the receiver. So initially I didn't realise there was an earphone socket, but there is. Put a bit of volume on it. We want 27,79125. So let's see if we can find where the detector is. Let's put the camera onto the oscilloscope. Just turn the volume up so we've got right kind of trace. I'd rather mess with the volume than the oscilloscope controls. So what have we got? Well, I'd like to think that's the detector. And that's certainly shifting it around a bit, but supposing that is. It certainly had some effect. What about that? Okay, so we'll now look at the front end. So that's 0.31 of a microvolt. So let's just see what we can do. Notice it's got a crystal filter there. I've gained some. I can turn back down my attenuator. You know what, I've gained a bit more. Turn down the attenuator again. Just check that's not transmit. Switch to low power, it'll be easy to see. No. Yeah, you can see the effect now. I'll tell you what, it's doing 0.41. So no, we'll say 0.415 microvolts. No, I'm not being fair. 0.41. So this is my one. Mine's the nicotine stained one. So that's very satisfactory. So let's see if that is the squelch. So turn the signal generator to standby. Set the squelch to full. And now, put that on the attenuator so you can see what I'm doing. So the red light there shows that the signal generator is in standby. So now we'll switch the signal generator on with it parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. So remember the squelch is at full. 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts, 100 microvolts is exactly where I want it to be when it comes in. So is this the squelch preset? Let's upset it and find out. It is. And it happened to be exactly in the right position. So we'll do this again now. Put the signal generator to standby. Now turn the squelch down. Set threshold. Try and set threshold. Switch. Every time I turn my back, it's changed. Sit. That's alright. It's coming in at 0.9 of a microvolt and leaving it about 0.72 of a microvolt. So that's nice squelch. So we've got no meter, so there's no messing about with setting all that up. So that's it. It's obviously that's going to be VCO. So I've kind of gone down this being the receive. So we'll write that on the diagram. Detector RX, 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 TX, 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 and that's actually IF on the receive. Good. And ours is doing 3 watts. So we'll put that down. Okay, well it looks like most of the repair video didn't get recorded. That me must have pressed the wrong button. So we'll be back to the customer's one. I've tuned up all my two, Mr. Nicotine and the other one, and I came to the conclusion that we got 0.41 microvolts of 12 decibel cyanide on the nicotine one at 3 watts. On Mr. Scruffy, one which came with an aerial, I don't think it showed on the video, but some numpty managed to fit themselves a microphone socket, and they'd disconnected the internal microphone. I provided a microphone off a scrap AM set and redid the wiring, etc, etc. This has got ingress of moisture, probably even more than the customer's one, but my one does actually work, which is more than the customer's one does, and that's doing 3.3 watts at 0.34 microvolts. Customer's one is actually doing 2.8 watts on the odd occasion it transmits. So the tune-up, and I did all this over a wonderful video which didn't get recorded. I've got the board out, so it's automatically going to be on channel 9 at the moment, but we did this on channel 20 with the board in. So you transmit lineup. I can't give you any numbers because, you know, usual reason, no manual. Transmit, transmit, transmit. Detector, detector. And then receive, 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 receive. So where are we with the customer set? Well, if we put the screen plate back on the back of it, which we tried to do last time, then we still have no transmit. Transmit is best described as iffy. I've had the spectrum analyzer on it, and I have absolutely tuned it within an inch of its life. And right now, it is actually transmitting. So we have 1.1 watt on low power, and whisker away from 3 watts, 2.8, 2.9 on high power. Deviation. Wallow. Oh, like that is it. This is the trouble. So it's going to go back to the customer. Normally we have a small charge for spending hours on a radio that we don't get anywhere with. In actual fact, that small charge is only £6.50. In this case, I'm not going to charge the customer because it's bad enough when you buy these things and it's not doable. At least we've got a video out of it, and it's pushed me to do my two, which we will do on the air test and a field test on. So not a good outcome for him. So what's happened? I'm absolutely convinced that what has happened is inside the VCO. We could unsolder it. We could unsolder it. I think there is a number of components that's probably changed value. I'll tell you what, we will open that up. Okay, so we look inside the VCO. What we've got, and it goes without saying I have checked we're in the best place for VCO, even though I don't know what the correct setup procedure is. What we have got is a pile of ceramic capacitors in the wax thing, and I would suggest that one or more of these ceramic capacitors has got an ingress of moisture, and it's changed values, or it's something awry. So, I mean, if this was your only if this was going to be your only way off a desert island, and you've got all the time in the world, and you've got the parts, you would take out all those ceramic capacitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, replace them with monolithic resin dipped ceramic capacitors, and of course to do that job you've got to be taking this wax out as well. So commercially it isn't too, you know, I can't be working out a time and cost thing on that. You'd be exceeding being able to buy another one of these sets by a long way. So not a good outcome. And actually, while we're talking about this, I would say that out of the mobile sets we see, which a lot have come from eBay, out of the sets we see, I would say that 95% of what comes through gets fixed, and out of those 5% that aren't economical or beyond repair, most of them are because they've been messed with, and most of those messings are the daft multi-channel, 80-channel, what's it modifications. I've just looked on eBay and there's a lovely Harrier base station, and it says it's £150. It It says in the blurb, benefits from having mid-block. Oh, and I don't know why it's called mid-block, it's CPT, because unless you're dealing with the middle of the illegal pirate citizens band. So, you know, I just hope nobody buys it and sends it here, because then I've got all that work to do. So, with handhelds, I would say that a third of the sets that come in, which have come via the second-hand market one way or the other, I would say a third of the sets that come in are not repairable. It's quite a big lot. And you know, you can be paying 40 and 50 quid for these second-hand, and they're not repairable. So, there we go. Put it back together, and let's see. I'm going to keep the rear shield plate out and send him that back in a plastic bag, because the radio isn't going to work at all with that in. There's some proximity thing which is causing that. Something's changed value in there, and as I say, I think we'd have to change every one of those ceramic capacitors, and there's no guarantee that you've hit it then. Right, so we'll put it back together, and it's transmitted once. And the other thing he said is, when he got this, you've got one of the digits, the left-hand digit, which can play up, and it's playing up now. But there's no point going any further with it. I'll tell you what, it would make a useful monitor receiver on the bench. So, you know, like we use that H100 or whatever it's called. So that's going to go back. What we will now do is we'll just put one of my ones back together. I'll make sure I remember that's the customer's one. So we'll put one of mine back together. So which one's this? This is Mr. Scruffy. I think what we'll do is I'm going to pop the top of this through our dishwasher. Now this is the one I've put a microphone to. I'm not... This rust is on the bolt to the PA transistor. I don't think it's going to change at all. They're very vulnerable, aren't they, handhelds, you know, to people not being as careful as perhaps they should be in inclement weather. And this is what you're up against when you buy used ones. You know, we did a realistic 1001, and I spent a lot of time on it, and it really should have been a scrapper, but persevered with it. Was it 1005? It was one of those. Just prise that out, they're only glued in. And we'll put that through the dishwasher. And in fact, what we'll do, we'll finish my video off with Mr. Nicotine instead. Yeah. So this is lovely condition. It's lovely at the back, it's lovely at the front, you know, that's excellent. There's one thing I didn't check on this when I initially did it, and that is whether it was on frequency. So we'll just check that. So just pop it up to channel 20. A very dim display on this one, but you can read it. And let's look at what that frequency is. Should be 27.79125. It's near enough, but just so you actually get something demonstrated, because of me being a total failure when it came to the tune-up on these, in recording it. So you've got, I'll just pull that back a fraction, you've got the trimmer for the crystal just there. So now it's going to be on channel 9 because this board isn't in. So we'll switch it back on, and it's now 27.68. We'll just bring that up to 125. I mean, it's near enough as it is. You know, this is going to make no difference at all. We're going down or up? We're going down. I've just bought the HS200, the Eurosonic ES200. I paid good money for it, so that'll come hopefully during the week. So I think they're pretty similar, but you know, we'll see, won't we? Just can't get this one. 28, that'll do nicely. It'll drop with age. So we'll switch it off, pop that board back in. Matter of lining those pins up. Not sure I like the pins going around that wire, but around that wire the pins go. That nicotine one, did I say I paid? Oh, this is the nicotine one. Paid $12.99 for this one with no aerial. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use this one for the on the air test when I plug the base station aerial in, and we'll use the other one for our field test. So you get this when somebody's been a heavy smoker, the nicotine, the smoke's gone through and it's affected the finish. You know, and although you can clean this off, which has been cleaned off prior to it being sold, you know, that's now a smoked version as to when you compare the two, which is a bit of a shame. If you'd never seen another one of these, you'd think, oh yeah, it's kind of gold lettering, but in actual fact it should be white. So, microphone into there, speaker into there, radio back together, and somewhere I put the screws. So in conclusion, here's my one with a pretty dim display. That does say 20, believe it or not. Let's take the bench light off. Let's draw less current that way. Anyway, we'll go through the channels. One on a Roger. I don't think that was high power. Let's try again. One on a Roger. Ha, I'd be lucky. Turn the squelch down. That's 40 if you can't see it. No, that's all there is. So we're doing on the air test later with that, and I'll just come back on with our other one, and we'll flick through on that one as well when I've retrieved the front out of the dishwasher. I did find the screws for that one. So that's the other one. This is the, I've now been through the dishwasher and it looks a bit smarter. It's got scratch on its display, so that's on the case. So, work through this one. Well done, Roger. You'll be lucky. There's someone there about 30 miles away. Right, so I'll put some batteries in this one. We'll keep this one at base, and we'll do 2 tests. So, yes, not a success for the customer, but we have sorted mine out. We have now got a bit of some kind of diagram of what goes where, and I think the Eurosonic's going to be a similar innards, but I may be wrong. So thank you for watching part 2 and final part of the HS2000FM Skiptech hand portable, where we failed to be able to repair the customer set economically because of ingress of water.